Part 7. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 61. Dan Heng and others noticed that compared with the upper district, the people in the lower district were generally pale and thin, and their clothes were not neat. There was no smile on their faces. It seemed that the quality of life was far worse than that of the citizens in the upper district. What Sangbo said at the beginning was not false at all. Bo Chang, so you are thinking about this, really, when encountering such a thing, how can the train group of justice sit idly by? We have to do it together. March 7 was eager to fight. Bo Chang was a little helpless, but after thinking about it, he still took them all with him. According to the prompt of love option, Bo Chang went straight to Rivet Town, wanting to find Clara as soon as possible. As for how to find Rivet Town, there is no need to worry about this. Before Brynja left, she specially left a map for everyone. Although it was more than 10 years ago. But that map can still be used now. After all, the underground environment has not changed much. After leaving Panyan Town and walking for almost an hour, the pioneering team finally arrived at Rivet Town. The town was completely eroded by the rift, filled with rift creations, and also had a lot of supplies that were not evacuated in time. Almost every once in a while, there were brave wanderers who entered to search for supplies. It can be said that they risked their lives for a little supply. But, why did Clara come to Rivet Town? Is she looking for something? In addition to looking for something, Bo Chang couldn't think of another reason for the other party to come to Rivet Town. And now Swarovski is not with Clara. Maybe she will be in danger? This is why Bo Chang chose the fourth option. The four of them had just entered Rivet Town. The rift creations appeared. And it was an elite monster, Wind Raider. The appearance of this monster is similar to the Void Soldier Trampler, but the color of its body has changed to white-green, and the power it uses is also wind attribute power. For Dan Heng and Sanyuki, this is already an old opponent. The enemy's strength is still strong. But Bo Chang and others are more powerful. Seeing this, Dan Heng said, "Don't you want to try out the spear skills you have practiced for a few days? This is a suitable opponent. Go ahead, we will support you from behind." The cold-faced little green dragon said so. Bo Chang did not act pretentiously. He stretched out his hand to hold the spear of oath tightly. He took off a small bag on his back and handed it to Seeing. This small bag was specially used by Bo Chang to carry props. The Erhu and the black bear mask were all placed in it. The life-saving prop of the Holy Shield. Bo Chang naturally carried it close to his body, because he didn't know when this thing would come in handy. Ignore any damage for 3 seconds. For a master, this is already several lives. Put on the black bear mask. Hand Sophia on his shoulder to Seeing. Under everyone's gaze, Bo Chang went alone to face the Wind Razor and the monster similar to a centaur. "Master, can you really do it alone?" Sophia, who was sitting on Seeing's shoulder, was a little scared. She almost screamed when she saw the tall and ugly monster. Seeing nodded slightly and said, "Don't worry, Bo Chang can do it. Even if he can't kill the opponent with his gun skills, as long as he uses Dragon Blast, he will definitely kill the enemy." Chapter 81, Fighting the Windmaker. The world in the lower area is different from the upper area. It is extremely dark everywhere. Especially the Rivet Town swallowed by the rift. It is empty, like a ghost town. The light sources here are so scarce that lights can only be seen in a few houses. In the absence of people, the strange lights are even more creepy. In such an environment, a figure moved forward in the shadows. Bo Chang took advantage of the fact that the Windmaker had not discovered him yet and launched a sneak attack. Unfortunately, the sound of the wind exposed his existence. Before he could make a move, the enemy had already discovered him. The green monster raised his hoof, turned around, and saw the black-haired boy coming from the side and rear. The faint light emitted a dazzling light on the gun. The Wind Razor immediately realized, the enemy was very strong. Even at a long distance, it could feel a vague sense of crisis. Raising his hand, a green ball of light began to condense in the palm of the Wind Razor, growing from small to large, emitting a dazzling light. This is a powerful wind attribute force. Bo Chang, who has mastered the fate of destruction, can also easily sense the power mobilized by the other party. Compared with the fate power in his body, the Wind Razor is much stronger. Just before the other party was about to launch an attack, Bo Chang shuddered. The spider sense discovered that the enemy's target was his stomach. It might be easier to focus on the target by hitting the middle. So the enemy chose the stomach as the attack point. Bo Chang, wearing a black bear mask, slightly bent his legs and suddenly shot to the side to avoid the green light ball in advance. Then continued to sprint. The Wind Razor missed, and its attack fell on the ground, smashing a small pit. After such a delay, Bo Chang also successfully came in front of the enemy. When he saw the other party raising his hooves with green light, he knew that the Windbringer was about to attack again. I'm already in front of you. If I let you fight back, wouldn't it be embarrassing? Bo Chang thrust the spear in his hand, forcing the enemy to stop attacking. This move worked very well. When the Wind Razor found that the spear was coming towards his chest, he immediately changed his move and took a big step back to avoid the spear tip. Bo Chang took advantage of the situation and continued to thrust the spear of oath in his hand. In an instant, more than a dozen spear flowers were thrust out. The Wind Razor was dazzled and had no idea which direction the opponent would attack from. March 7 muttered, Bo Chang's move is quite good looking. Dan Hung, did you teach him? No. I just taught him a very ordinary spear technique. It's not. This may be something he figured out by himself. Dan Hung had only taught him spear techniques for a few days. Many moves have not been taught yet. Dan Hung was also surprised to see Bo Chang thrust out so many spear flowers at once, and felt that the opponent was not a novice at all. The Wind Razor retreated in a hurry. Bo Chang pressed forward step by step, swinging his blue spear in the air like a dragon. Almost. Even though Bo Chang, wearing a black bear mask, was fast enough, he still couldn't keep up with the speed of the Windmaker's retreat. The tip of the spear only stabbed not far in front of the opponent. Even if it stabbed, it would only stay on the surface. It couldn't cause substantial damage. If it wasn't for training his spear skills, I'm afraid Bo Chang would have wanted to catch the opponent directly with the invisible hand. It was the same when he fought Kakalaya before. As long as the enemy is close enough, first control it with the invisible hand, and then use a fist of love to influence it. The power of the sheep spell is still very aggressive to the soul. Kakalaya survived completely relying on the star core. Instead, it expelled the influence of the star core. A world-breaking creature like this doesn't have the help of the power of the star core. Once it is caught, a fistful of punches may be able to directly extract the opponent's soul. A body without a soul is nothing but an empty shell. It is still at the mercy of Bo Chang. Don't think too much, use your gun skills to defeat the enemy. Except for the spider sense, other abilities are temporarily sealed. Thinking so in his heart, Bo Chang's attack became more and more fierce. The Wind Razor retreated again and again, and it also prepared several counter-attacks during this period, but each time it was avoided by foresight. This also made it very uncomfortable to fight. As it retreated, the Wind Razor had no room to retreat at all, and there was a wall behind it. Taking this opportunity, Bo Chang finally shot the enemy in the throat and killed him. Pulling out the Spear of Oath. Watching the opponent's body fall to the ground and slowly collapse, Bo Chang sighed lightly and said, "No." Relying on sneak attacks and close range and the blessing of Spider Sense, Spear of Oath, and Black Bear Mask, I actually fought for such a long time. The battle lasted for nearly 3 minutes. During this period, some other monsters were also attracted. However, they were dealt with by Dan Heng, San Yuqi and others, and they were not allowed to interfere with the 1v1 between Bo Chang and Feng Zhengzhi. In short, the black-haired boy was not very satisfied with his performance. Dan Heng noticed this, and he came over and said, "For you who have just learned the gun method for a few days, it is already very good to have such an effect. I have the option of love in the starry sky." Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 62. Yeah. Bo Chang nodded, accepting the comfort of the teacher. Next. Bo Chang did not waste any more time. He said that it would be more efficient to clean up the monsters separately. So he began to explore the way ahead alone. Bo Chang did not forget that his most important task was to find Clara. Practicing gun skills and destroying the monsters in the lower zone rift were just excuses. The latter was an excuse Dan Heng came up with for him. Bo Chang just went with the flow. It didn't take long to find it in Rivet Town. Finally, hard work pays off. Bo Chang found Clara. The little girl in red was walking on the street with a few robots, and the barefoot white-haired girl was holding a bag in her hand. Maybe that was why she came to Rivet Town. Looking for something. But it seems that it has been found. After all, the bag is bulging, and those robots are also carrying things. Am I late? He muttered in his heart. Bo Chang, wearing a black bear mask, came out. After hearing the footsteps, Clara turned her head and asked vigilantly, "Who?" The robots around her also immediately stepped forward to protect her in the middle. I have to say, the lineup around Clara is quite exaggerated, with nearly 10 automatic robots protecting her. There are big grizzly bears, unstable spiders, humanoid toothed wolves, vehicle-like war dogs, and signal-like beetles. Little girl, what are you doing in the rift? Bo Chang took off the black bear mask. It's very dangerous here. Even if there are machines to protect you, you can't completely ensure safety. Clara is looking for usable machine components. After seeing that the person coming was a normal person, Clara's vigilance relaxed a lot. Chapter 82. Help Clara, reward plus more. The little girl with silver hair and red eyes in front of her didn't seem to want to communicate with Bo Chang. She nodded slightly and said, "If everything is fine, Clara will continue to look for things." In the process of looking for things before, Clara had met other people before, so she was not surprised. The only thing that made people curious was the man opposite did not look like a scavenger at all, because he did not carry a backpack. Clara had a robot to help her, so she did not need a backpack. She could just carry some important things. A backpack was completely unnecessary. What about Bo Chang? Clara could not figure it out, and she did not intend to contact him. The romance option is turned on. Option 1, wait a little longer, walk away silently, and say, "Okay, then I will not bother you." Completion reward, 100% increase in strength. Option 2, take out delicious crab roe buns to improve the relationship, and say, "Are you hungry? I have something delicious here." Completion reward, get random props, ranging from matches to star destroyers. Note, this type of prop will. Option 3, take out Clara's belly band and say, "Actually, I am your long-lost brother." Completion reward, Swarovski's big belly band. Bo Chang was caught in a dilemma. It seems that it is possible to take out the delicious crab roe buns or leave first. But, the improvement of strength is more important. After all, the body is the foundation of everything. After thinking about it, Bo Chang chose the first one. The third one was naturally not considered at all. If he took out her belly band and said such a thing, Clara would definitely think he was a pervert. At that time, she would definitely say, "Help me." Mr. Swarovski. As for why the other party had a belly band, that's not clear. Maybe he wrapped his body with cloth when he was a child. Then the system thought it was a belly band. Logically speaking, Baloberg definitely didn't have a belly band. Okay, then I won't bother you. Bo Chang put on the black bear mask again and turned to leave. The system's prompt sounded as usual. Rewards are being distributed. Congratulations on your 100% increase in strength. A warm current quickly traveled in the body, tearing and reorganizing the muscles. After this wave of enhancement, his strength was almost the same as before, even without the black bear mask. Enhanced 3 times. 8 times the strength of an ordinary person, plus the improvement of the black bear mask. It is about 10 times his previous self. Or even more. He is a little Superman. Unfortunately, relying on physical fitness and combat skills alone, he can only fight some elite monsters for 300 rounds, only by using other special abilities such as the dragon spell can he crush his opponents. If my gun skills can be further improved, it can be even stronger. After watching Bo Chang leave, Clara continued to do her own thing. Looking back, she found Dan Heng, San Yuqi and Xin behind her. The 3 of them were fighting a group of monsters. Bo Chang saw it and went up with his gun. He showed his skills. The blue spear instantly took the lives of several small soldiers. With the combined efforts of the 4, the enemies were quickly wiped out. After all, except for the elite monsters. The monsters are easy to kill. They can't cause any impact on Bo Chang and others. I feel a little tired, why don't we take a break? March 7 said as he wiped the non-existent sweat from his forehead with his hand. Scene nodded. The rift here has more monsters than the rift in the upper area. Although there are automatic robots sent by Swaro to patrol and kill the rift creatures. But the efficiency is still not as good as the Silver Main Iron Guards. Fortunately, there are only miscellaneous soldiers in Rivet Town, and there are not many powerful rift creatures. If all those miscellaneous soldiers are replaced with elite monsters, even the pioneering team may have to be careful in the battle. There is definitely no danger to life, but you will get hurt if you are not careful. Except for perverts, no one should like to get hurt. Bo Chang said, then you take a break first, I will continue to explore the way. You are in a really good spirit. March 7 complained. Without answering the other party's thoughts, Bo Chang set off in another direction, then made a circle and came to the place where he met Clara before. Just now, Love Option asked Bo Chang to wait a little longer, and he did wait for a while. When he looked back now, Clara and her automatons had disappeared. They are heading in that direction. Bo Chang set off in the direction the other party was heading. Before he had taken a few steps, Bo Chang heard explosions and fighting sounds coming from the front. It was probably those automatons fighting. In the process of exploring the way, Bo Chang had encountered some automatons fighting with the rift creatures, so he could easily distinguish the sound. Could it be Clara? He thought so in his heart. Bo Chang, holding the Spear of Oath, started running. In less than a minute, Bo Chang came to the place where the battle broke out. Just as he imagined, Clara and her mechanical soldiers were fighting with the rift creatures. The enemy was a humanoid monster with a red sword in his hand, which looked very powerful. And it also has an outer universe flame and several Yanhua creations to help. The injured automaton soldier Beetle said to Clara, "The enemy is strong, Clara, go first." The language module of this automaton soldier seems to have a problem. The speech is intermittent. Well, Perkins, then, let's leave first, Mills, I'll leave this to you. Clara also realized that the battle situation is not favorable to her, and it seems that she can only go first. Although I feel sorry for the automaton soldier who is left behind. But if I hesitate any longer, I'm afraid even Clara herself can't escape. It's the best plan to leave now and gather the automatons patrolling in Rivet Town on the way to destroy these monsters. Before Clara set off to run, Bo Chang threw out the Spear of Oath, and the blue spear cut through the night sky, like a meteor, and flew towards the humanoid mechanical monster. The name of this monster is Blazing Wanderer, and its strength is about the same as the outer universe flame. The difference is that one is a close combat with a broadsword. The other is a ranged mage. The Blazing Wanderer, who was chopping up an automatic robot soldier beetle, suddenly raised his head and saw the oncoming spear. Startled, the Blazing Wanderer immediately put away his sword and tried to stop the Spear of the Oath. Bo Chang was amused when he saw it. The Spear of the Oath could pierce the skin of the Doomsday Beast. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 63. It would be weird if the opponent's weapon could block it. An indestructible blue spear with immeasurable sharpness. Clang. There was a crisp sound. Under everyone's gaze, the red sword in Blazing Prowler's hand broke directly. A red sword almost as thick as an ordinary person's fist. It didn't have any blocking effect. In the next second, the Oath Spear plunged into the Blazing Prowler's chest. If it hadn't realized something was wrong, it would have dodged to the side. Bo Chang's shot can directly kill the Blazing Prowler. Chapter 83. Help me, Tauren Warrior. More rewards will be added. With one move with one hand, Bo Chang regained his Oath Spear. At this time, the Blazing Prowler had been seriously injured. But the fighting hasn't stopped yet. These world-splitting creatures will never stop attacking until one party dies. This is their creed. Destroy civilization and destroy life. After playing a trick, Bo Chang said, "What a coincidence, little girl, we meet again. Your name is Clara, right? Big brother can directly call you by your name." Huh? Okay. Clara felt a little panicked in her heart. The person in front of her was so strange. Wrong. It should be said that he is too strong. When did such a number one person appear in the lower area? The Blazing Prowler was seriously injured with just one shot. This is an extremely difficult monster. Even Mr. Swirro can't beat him into the state with one move. Okay, no more nonsense, let me deal with these monsters first. Bo Chang still had no idea of using the power of the spell. Charging forward with one shot at a time, Bo Chang prepared to engage in close combat with the Blazing Prowler. As for the flames of the outer universe, Clara's mechanical core is supporting it, so he doesn't need to worry about it for the time being. It would be better to concentrate on dealing with the seriously injured monster in front of you first. The Blazing Prowler, which had lost its weapon, did not hesitate at all. When it saw Bo Chang rushing towards it, it moved forward desperately. Even with fists, the Blazing Prowler will never take a step back. The two sides collided on the flat road. Another confrontation, Bo Chang tore off one of the other's arms. It's so comfortable to fight against melee monsters, those who play long range are too lazy. They like to fight while running. For example, the Windmaker just now. If it weren't for the terrain restrictions, I'm afraid Bo Chang would have to play with the opponent for a while before he could kill it. Melee players are much more powerful. Just come up and do it. If you can't beat it, you just can't beat it. There's nothing to say. After only 3 rounds of fighting, Bo Chang removed the head from the burning prowler's neck at an outrageous speed. Certainly. The most crucial point is still. Bo Chang shot first, not only destroying the opponent's weapon, but also severely damaging the enemy. This is the achievement of quick kill. If you use the ability of the invisible hand, you can definitely kill faster. Bo Chang pounced on the flames of the outer universe again. This humanoid monster that manipulated fire immediately floated and retreated when it saw the enemy approaching. I don't want to give the other party a chance to get close at all. Seeing this, Bo Chang didn't intend to play anymore. He directly raised his hand and used the more powerful dragon explosion. I didn't expect that the opponent had such a long-range attack method, the flames of the outer universe. It was beaten tightly by the flame beam, and only a boom sound was heard. The flame of the outer universe was engulfed in flames with one shot and died on the spot. The flame beam that didn't stop blasted a big hole in the wall that let out air. After one shot, there were only a few bird-like Yanhua creations left on the scene, and they were directly eliminated by the surrounding automatic robots. There is no need for Bo Chang to take action at all. Clara was shocked when she saw this scene. What is efficiency and what is power? This was the first time Clara saw a human being who was more powerful than Swaro. He is definitely not from the lower district. Could it be that he is from the upper district? I remember Mr. Swaro just said that someone from the upper district came to the lower district today. Are all the people in the upper zone so powerful? A feeling of fear suddenly emerged in Clara's heart. The romance option is turned on. Option 1, take out the delicious crab roe bun to improve the relationship, and say, "Are you scared? Come, eat the delicious crab roe bun to calm down the shock." Completion reward, get random props, as small as matches, as big as a star destroyer. Note, such props will. Option 2, take out Clara's belly pocket and say, "Clara, don't be afraid, I'm actually a good person." Completion reward, Swaro's big butt pocket. Option 3, take out the Minotaur statue and say, "Clara, it's too dangerous for a little girl like you to be in a place like this. Here, take this and yell if you encounter danger in the future, say, 'Help me, Tauren warrior.' And then smash it, and you can summon an invincible Tauren warrior." Completion reward, get random skills. How could I repair this belly band? This belly band is a big pussy bag as soon as it is taken out. We clearly agreed at the beginning, returning the belly band may bring unexpected benefits. Why are all of them Swarovski's big pussy bags? Is this the reward? After seeing option 2, Bo Chang couldn't help but complain in his heart. Until now, Bo Chang didn't know when this belly band would be useful. Thinking of the belly band, he thought of Kafka's briefs again. That thing is said to be original. Bo Chang really didn't dare to take it out. Once he took it out, Kafka would know. He would be hunted down by the Star Core hunters all over the universe. Thinking about it this way, it seems quite exciting. Bo Chang shook his head. Don't think about it, or think about which one to choose. Option 2 is eliminated. The first and third options are left. The problem faced this time is actually the same as the options of a certain time. It all depends on whether Bo Chang prefers props or skills. Well, continue to draw skills and see if you can draw something good. And it's also good to give Clara the Minotaur statue as a gift for her. Option 3. Bo Chang dug in his arms and took out the Minotaur statue, saying, "Clara, it's too dangerous for a little girl like you to be in such a place. Here, take this. If you encounter danger in the future, just shout, 'Help me, Minotaur warrior,' then smash it, and you can summon an invincible Minotaur warrior." Clara seemed to have a big doubt on her little face. "Help me, Minotaur warrior," why does the sentence sound a little familiar? Is he teasing me? I don't know what she thought of, and Clara, with a slightly red face, refused. "No. I can't take your things. I don't know if what the other party said is true or false." Rejected first. Clara doesn't want to accept this kind of gift for no reason. Bo Chang did not hear the system prompt sound. He immediately knew that the reward would be issued only after the other party accepted the gift. Love option. Take it. This is a little gift from me. If you don't take it, you look down on me. Bo Chang stubbornly stuffed the Minotaur statue to Clara. The helpless little girl could only take it first and stare at the other party with a pair of innocent red eyes. I don't know what this powerful weirdo in front of me is doing. Listening to the system prompt sound, Bo Chang thought to himself, fortunately, I chose the third one. If I chose the first one, maybe I would have to stuff the delicious crab roe bun into Clara's mouth. That's too perverted. Chapter 84. The pants are still moving. Rewards are being distributed. Congratulations on obtaining the skill, the 100 birds paying homage to the Phoenix Spear. A lot of experience in the use of guns, like the backflow of seawater, poured into Bo Chang's mind. At this moment, his guns have reached an unprecedented height. Even the spear of oath in his hand made a buzzing sound, and Bo Chang felt that he was getting closer to him. Clara only felt that the aura of the man in front of him suddenly became stronger. But in the next second, Bo Chang returned to his original state, as if everything that happened just now was an illusion. Clara subconsciously looked down at the Minotaur statue in her hand. This thing looks like it is carved from jade. It has a human body and a bull head, holding a big axe, and is all black. The surface is so smooth that it can reflect light. Every hair is clearly visible, and it looks lifelike. It is a fragile craft. Summoning a Minotaur warrior? This is a trick to deceive children, I won't believe it. Clara shook her head secretly, but it's quite exquisite. If you sell it, you should be able to make a lot of money. Clara, who is half a scavenger, evaluates the Minotaur statue with her own eyes. Bo Chang interrupted, how about it? This is pretty good, isn't it? It's really good, but, why did you give this thing to Clara? Or force it on me? We probably don't know each other, and Clara hasn't helped you. Clara looked up at Bo Chang. She didn't know how to respond to the kindness of the man in front of her. And the other party just helped her. Clara felt that she should repay Bo Chang. How could she accept his gift? The love option is turned on. Option 1, meeting is fate, please reply, I am happy. Completion reward, get random props, from small matches to large star destroyers. Note, this kind of props will. Option 2, seriously said, actually, my waist is not feeling well, can you help me step on it? This is the reward, if it is not enough, I can add more. Completion reward, physical fitness increased by 100%. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 64. Is this a choice? Bo Chang took a look and directly decided on option 2. The black-haired boy said seriously, actually, my waist is not comfortable. Can you help me step on it? This is considered as payment. If it is not enough, I can add more. Ah. That's enough, but, is your waist really uncomfortable? How does Clara feel? The girl with silver hair and red eyes showed a confused expression. Bo Chang quickly interrupted. Really, of course it's true. Oh, well, in return, I can step on it for you. But, it's too dangerous here. Let's wait until we leave Rivet Town first. Clara has agreed, but the love option has not given a reward. Bo Chang knew. You must ask the other party to step on your back. Rewards will be issued. Ba Kame said, one word is settled. Huh, you are indeed here. Are you in trouble? Do you need our help? As soon as the words fell here, Sanyuchi and others who heard the noise rushed over. Bo Chang turned around and was surprised at how fast the other party was moving, and then replied, it's okay, the monster has been dealt with, and a little girl was also saved. Why are there children here? It's too dangerous. After seeing Clara, March Chi put her hands on her hips, with an incredible expression on her face. Even for professional soldiers, entering Rivet Town involves considerable risks. Not to mention a little girl. It's okay, Clara is protected by Perkins and Mills, it's okay. Clara stretched out her little hand and waved it in the air, and her little head also swayed, indicating that she didn't need to worry about her own safety. March 7 took a look at the surrounding automatic soldiers. Is she related to that robot named Swirro? Except related households. March 7 could not imagine that anyone could come up with so many robots to protect themselves. The pink-haired girl guessed accurately. Dan Hung said, "The robots around you have been damaged a lot, and the others are also more or less injured. Otherwise, we should send you out first." "Well, I've actually found almost everything I need, so let's go back first." "I may have to rely on you for the rest of the journey." Clara nodded slightly, then looked at Bo Chang. It just so happens, Clara still has to fulfill her promise. "Agreement? What agreement?" March Chi discovered something keenly, and her sixth sense was sounding the alarm. Xing's eyes also became serious. Bo Chang was about to change the topic. Clara then said, "Big Brother said that his waist was uncomfortable and asked Clara to step on it. I don't know if it's an illusion." Bo Chang felt that the other party did it on purpose. Dan Hung. Suddenly, the air fell into an awkward silence. Bo Chang felt that there was a subtle change in the way the cold-faced little Qinglong looked at him. March Chi's pink eyes widened, remembering the time when the other party gave the teleportation ring to Pella before. She said with a bad expression, "Well, you Bo Chang, I would like to hear why your waist doesn't comfortable." "Ah, that's it? I stayed up late last night playing games last night, so." Bo Chang finished speaking and looked at his familiar Sophia, hoping that the other party could give her a cover. "If you don't believe me, just ask Sophia." "Really?" March Chi looked at the little guy on Xing's shoulder with a smile. Sophia's whole body trembled, and her head, which was not much bigger than a human fingernail, began to work crazily. After wandering between Bo Chang and the pink-haired girl for a while, she spoke sincerely. "It's true. Last night, the master was sitting by the bed playing games. He was laughing while playing, and his pants were moving. He was very busy. I wanted to go over and take a look, but he wouldn't let me look." Bo Chang slowly typed out a question mark, feeling as if this guy's true nature had accidentally been exposed again. March Chi and Xing were stunned. The gray-haired girl looked confused and said, "Why do my pants move when playing games? Playing with one hand and scratching with the other hand." "Stop, stop, stop." March 7's face turned red. "Let's stop this issue for now. Okay, Bo Chang, let's just think that you overworked last night." Hearing the word overworked from March 7, Bo Chang couldn't hold back. He glanced at Sophia angrily, not knowing why the other party wanted to make trouble for him. The black-haired boy has no face at all now. Sophia lowered her head and was fighting insects with her hands. She looked like she knew her mistake, but in fact, the corners of her mouth were already raised. Then you don't need to ask the children to help you step on your back. We. March Chi played with her hair with her fingers, but she hadn't finished speaking yet. Xing raised his hand and said, "I can do it. Can I step on it now?" The interrupted March 7 was still dazed, but the gray-haired girl had already bent down and started to take off her shoes. Chapter 85 Rich Experience in Stepping on People. Dan Hung helplessly held his forehead, feeling that these people were not serious. Clara just looked at everyone with a pair of big innocent eyes. But now her eyes are basically on Sophia. Clara is very curious about the little guy. The romance option is turned on. Option 1, let Xing step on your back. Xing, please. Completion reward, rib fracture. Option 2, let Sanyuki step on your back. Sanyu, please. Completion reward, the probability of falling on the ground is greatly increased. Option 3, let Danhan step on your back. Danhan, come and help me later. Completion reward, get random props, from small matches to large star destroyers. Note, such props will. Option 4, insist on letting Clara step on your back. No, let Clara come. Completion reward, Swarovski's Big Bib. Bo-Chang is a little confused about the current situation. The previous option has not yet ended, and this option has already popped up. What about the reward for the previous option? System, what's the situation now? The romance option still didn't respond, and it seemed that he didn't want to pay attention to him for the time being. Bo-Chang thought, forget it, let's make a choice first. When the enemy comes, we will fight him. When the water comes, we will block it with earth. After a careful look, he felt that he didn't need to choose. 4 options, 3 negative rewards, and only one answer. Bo-Chang decided on option 3 with tears in his eyes, and then looked at the cold-faced Xiao Qinglong and said, Dan Heng, come and help me later. Help you? Help with what? Dan Heng slowly typed a question mark, not knowing what the other party was going to do. Bo-Chang explained. Help me step on my back, my waist is uncomfortable. After a moment of silence, Dan Heng said, Sanyu and Xing, they should be able to help, why choose me? While speaking, Sanyuki and Xing's eyes were all focused on Bo-Chang. The black-haired boy swallowed his saliva, and he thought of a solution in a hurry. That is like this, I'm afraid they can't step on it well, if they get more tired. Can this little girl step on it well? Sanyuki crossed his arms and made a dissatisfied sound. Bo-Chang pointed at Clara's little feet and said, look, Clara didn't even wear shoes, so, I think she should have rich experience in stepping on people. Clara, who was stared at by everyone, lowered her head and looked at her toes a little embarrassedly. The 10 round toes were like pearls. Now they are curled up. It can be seen that Clara's heart is a little complicated now. What does not wearing shoes have to do with experience in stepping on people? March 7 was confused. Bo-Chang began to talk nonsense seriously, from the thickness of the foot skin to the ground temperature in the lower area. Clara said weakly, Clara's foot skin should not be thick, it's okay to be barefoot, it's all because of the power of destiny, you should also have the power of destiny, Clara can faintly sense it. After being interrupted like this, Bo-Chang stopped and replied, okay, in short, I'll say this much, those who understand will understand. Dan Heng knew that the other party was talking nonsense, but he didn't care. He said, I understand what you mean, Bo-Chang, but I have no experience of stepping on others' backs, I hope it won't have a bad effect on you. Just don't use too much force. Bo-Chang forced a smile. He didn't know why the situation suddenly became like this. Everything was obviously going according to the instructions of the system. In theory. Wait, the system hasn't prompted failure yet, which should mean that the agreement with Clara should still be valid. Bo-Chang comforted himself with such thoughts. March 7 looked at the black-haired boy speechlessly, thinking that the other party seemed to be playing deaf and dumb. Every time it comes to this, he likes to smooth things over. Xing put on her shoes again, and there was no expression on her face. As if nothing had happened just now. This made March 7 feel a little strange. Doesn't she have any emotions? Anyway, the pink-haired girl was a little unhappy. The girl with white hair and red eyes looked at Bo-Chang. She wanted to say something, but the atmosphere was not right. So, Clara was very tactful and did not speak. The little episode ended just like that. The options this time were the same as the last time. After Dan Heng agreed to help step on the back, no reward was issued. I'm afraid we have to wait until the stepping is really completed. The reward will be issued. The 4 members of the pioneering team took Clara and left Rivet Town. As long as they are out of the range of the rift. It is much safer outside, with only a few monsters wandering around. As long as you pay attention, there will be basically no problem. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 65. Clara stopped, turned around, looked at everyone, and said, "It's almost enough to send it here, then Clara can return to the mechanical settlement by herself. Also, thank you for your help this time, brother and sister. If you need anything, you can come to the machinery settlement to find Clara, especially, brother Bo Chang." Clara bowed very solemnly. Bo Chang touched the back of his head and said, "It's a small matter, it's just a small matter, don't worry about it." "Well, Clara, remember to be careful on your way back." March 7th waved. For Clara, who has a mechanical army, there is basically no danger on the way back. After all, someone who could pose a threat to her. In the lower area, there are basically people with names and surnames. Those people all know Clara's identity. Even if she is alone, no one dares to take action. What's more, the opponent is always surrounded by automatic robots. Well, Clara will leave first. I hope things will go well for my brother and sister. With a final hello, Clara walked away on the snow. After taking a few steps forward, Clara remembered something. She stopped again, turned around, and wanted to take out the Minotaur statue from the bag. Bo Chang guessed what the other party was thinking and stopped him. "Clara, this is a greeting gift from eldest brother. Take it well. It can help you at the critical moment. Don't think about giving it back to me again." But Clara. Facing Bo Chang's gaze, the girl with silver hair and red eyes stopped what she was doing. When Clara faced the powerful black-haired boy, having trouble saying the word no. In the end, they could only leave with the automatic soldiers. The pioneering team wants to stay here to destroy the world-splitting creations. This was Bo Chang's excuse before. If they stopped halfway because of Clara, I'm afraid they would have lost their minds. After seeing the girl with silver hair and red eyes leaving, March 7th asked immediately, "Bo Chang, what happened just now? Did you give Clara something? Could it be a teleportation ring?" Hearing this, Xing's ears perked up. Bo Chang explained, No. I just gave him a statue." Chapter 86. Let me see. More rewards will be added. Statue? What kind of statue? Could it be a prop similar to a teleportation ring? March 7th is not going to simply send the other party a message. Under Xing Danhan's gaze, Bo Chang coughed slightly and said, "It does have some special effects, but I'm also worried that she will be in danger." Okay, March 7th nodded, then her hands suddenly stretched forward, and she grabbed Bo Chang's clothes. "We want to see where the props on your body are hidden today." March Chi's slender hands were caressing the black-haired boy's body, and her slightly cold fingertips traced his skin. He was rarely touched by a girl like this, and he couldn't help but tremble, and subconsciously wanted to dodge. March 7th grabbed Bo Chang's clothes and refused to let go. "Don't resist, let me see." Bo Chang couldn't help but said, "No. March. Don't. I'm here to help." Xing didn't know when she had walked behind Bo Chang, like a ghost. Her hands reached out from Bo Chang's armpits, pulled back, and pressed her fingers on the other person's shoulders to firmly control his hands. The two bodies were pressed together as a result. Since there was no hostility in the gray-haired girl's sneak attack, the spider sense was completely disabled. Feeling the beauty of the girl's delicate body, Bo Chang also lost his resistance and thought instead, "So soft." Sophia danced while standing on Star's shoulders. "Take off his pants. Take off his pants. There must be something good inside." Under the instigation of the little familiar, March Chi, who didn't find anything on his upper body, touched Bo Chang's belt with his hands. "Mituki. Be sensible, it doesn't work here." "It definitely doesn't work, hey." Bo Chang was shocked and began to resist. As a result, he found that he could not break free from the shackles of the star. The other party is ridiculously strong. Seeing this, the gray-haired girl simply mustered up her strength, straightened her waist and pushed Bo Chang up. With his feet off the ground, he completely lost the power to resist and could only let himself be slaughtered. Sophia, who was on her shoulder, swayed and quickly grabbed Xing's hair, thus avoiding the ending of falling. March Chi's expression was exaggerated, and she shouted loudly, "Reason? What reason do you want me to use?" Even so. But the pink-haired girl didn't take off her pants for a long time, but just touched around. Watching the three of them fighting, Dan Heng sighed softly and couldn't help but look away. After a while, March Chi stopped his movements and said with a disappointed look on his face, "Nothing. There is nothing in the first place. I can only take out the props from the unknown space when I have a flash of inspiration. How can you possibly find it if you just touch around on me casually? March 7th is looking for space props. But, it's obvious that the opponent has no space props on him. This matter has been confirmed before, but I looked for it again today on March 7th, and it was indeed not there. Seeing. You can put me down now." "Oh, okay." Seeing that Sanyuki had stopped, Seeing did not continue to insist and put Bakane down obediently. She looked calm as if she had done nothing. This matter ended with Bakane's complaints. Next, the Rift creation in Rivet Town was beaten up by the pioneering team. It is estimated that for a period of time, the quality and quantity of monsters here cannot be raised. People in the lower area can come here to find usable supplies with peace of mind. On the way back, Sanyuki, who had vented his anger and was now relieved, said, "Speaking of which, Rivet Town obviously has no living people, but there are still lights on in some places. Could it be a ghost?" Sophia, who was sitting on Seing's shoulder, shrank her feet and showed a frightened expression. Danhan shook his head. "Perhaps the rift left behind the past scenes here, which is not surprising." During the conversation, the group passed by an abandoned restaurant, where the lights were bright. Although the equipment inside was covered with dust, there was no sign of aging at all. Hearing the noise of mechanical movement, Bo Chang turned his head and saw a small figure flashing in the restaurant. "There seems to be something inside. Is it a patrolling robot?" The moment he saw the other party, Bo Chang guessed the identity, but is it acting alone? There are many patrolling robots in Rivet Town, but they basically act in groups of 3 or 5. Only in this way can the enemy be killed with the greatest efficiency and ensure their own safety. When those robots see humans, they will ignore them and only attack the world-breaking creatures, just like the world-breaking creatures that only attack living things. "Bo Chang, why did you stop? Did you find the enemy?" March 7 noticed that the footsteps behind him stopped, and he made a puzzled sound. Bo Chang glanced at the pink-haired girl and said, "No. I just saw a strange robot." "Strange? How strange?" March 7 spread his hands. Bo Chang touched his chin and recalled what he had just seen. "It's acting alone, and its appearance is also strange. It's not a regular automatic robot configuration. It seems to be assembled by someone at random. If it hadn't looked at me, I would have thought it was a world-shattering creature. If it was a world-shattering creature, it must have rushed over like crazy and started fighting with everyone." Just then, there was a clanging sound inside the restaurant. Sean took a look and said, "How about, let's go in and take a look?" "Whatever." Dan Heng, holding a gun with one hand, looked indifferent. Bo Chang nodded. "Then let's go in and take a look." Entering the restaurant, what came into view was a strange little robot. It looked like an automatic robot spider, but there were some strange parts on it, and it looked like a monster. At this time, the little robot was repairing the damaged wall with a hammer and a wooden board. Bo Chang said, "That hole, why does it look so familiar? You made it with the Dragon Blast." Look at the street outside and you'll feel more familiar. San Yuchi was speechless, but, why can this little robot repair the wall? Even if it's repaired, it's useless. No one lives here anyway. The romance option is enabled. Option 1, capture the strange little robot and give it to Clara, saying, "It looks like it has a malfunction, why don't we capture it and give it to Clara? Can't she repair robots?" Completion reward, get a random 3-star light cone. Option 2, capture the strange little robot and keep it as a pet, saying, "It looks like it can repair things, why don't we capture it and help on the Star Dome train?" Completion reward, robot repair and upgrade technology. Option 3, ignore it and leave directly, saying, "It's not interesting, let's go." Completion reward, get a random prop, from a matchstick to a star destroyer. Note, this type of prop will. Chapter 87 Little Robot. The light cone reward is really good. Unfortunately, the robot repair and upgrade technology is better. After a brief thought, Bo Chang's brain immediately decided on option 2. It looks like it can repair things, why not catch it on the Starry Sky train and help with the work? March 7. Dan Hung said, "Whatever you want." Bo Chang did it as soon as he said it, and immediately rolled up his sleeves and walked forward a few steps. The little robot discovered everyone's presence, and it made intermittent and somewhat chaotic sounds. Repair %, wait, Ju /U0026 at, Cheng /*, please do not, UN %. What is it saying? March 7 listened to the confusing sentences and felt that this guy was more and more strange. Normal automatic robot soldiers would not have this situation, and their language expression ability was no problem. Don't worry about it, just catch it first. Bo Chang took another step forward. The little robot seemed to be stimulated, and the trembling of its body increased rapidly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 66. Stop, UN /U0026. Bo Chang did not stop. He carefully observed this strange-looking robot. The shape of the robot was similar to that of an automatic robot spider, but it had many messy parts. The one that used the hammer just now was a small robot. Robotic arm. After noticing that the black-haired man was getting closer to him, the little robot was about to turn around and run away, but the moment it took off, Bo Chang stretched out his hands and caught it. The system prompt sounds. Rewards are being distributed. Congratulations on obtaining robot repair and upgrade technology. For a moment, the majestic knowledge poured into his mind, and Bo Chang's eyes changed when he looked at the little robot in his hand. This thing looks like it was randomly pieced together using scrap metal materials. The paint on the body, customized parts, and connection techniques are all quite rough. It was simply assembled haphazardly. No consideration was given to whether the machine could operate normally. The next moment, the little robot launched an attack on Bo Chang. The small mechanical arm raised the hammer and hit the black-haired boy, and it also made a sound. Hurt /U0026, ache /U0026 #sorry. Bo Chang, who had expected it, grabbed the robotic arm with one hand, and then attacked a certain point on the small robot based on the experience in his mind. He just touched it twice and removed the robotic arm. Of course, this is only what people like March 7 see. In fact, Bo Chang used an invisible hand. That's why the robotic arm can be disassembled so easily. The little robot's counterattack did not stop because of this. It said words such as pain and sorry, while launching attacks with other parts of its body. It can be said that Bo Chang took advantage of the opportunity and took off all the parts of it that could launch attacks. Not even the 4 mechanical legs below were left. turning it into an iron lump that couldn't move at all and could only make sounds. Dan Hung, Yu Chi and others were amazed when they saw it. Scene tilted his head, always feeling that something was not right, but thinking about it being Bo Chang, then it would be okay. Ake hashtag, sorry, parts at \U0026, repair hashtag, rivets. Listen to the sounds the other person makes. March 7th murmured, you guys think, is it possible that Rivet Town is undergoing renovations, that's why these lights are strangely lit here, and it was also repairing the wall just now. Isn't it? It's possible, but, there are still many places that are the past scenes generated by the split world. It alone can't restore the light to so many places. Dan Hung looked at the little robot and said, this guy is indeed a bit strange. He is probably not under Swaro's control at all, otherwise this situation would not have happened. In Rivet Town, which has been eroded by the rift, the most important thing is to clean up the rift creations in it. Repair Rivet Town. It doesn't make any sense. Dan Hung didn't think Swaro would do such a meaningless thing. No matter what the situation is, let me repair it first. Let's go to the mechanical settlement quickly. I believe there will be enough materials for me to repair it. Bo Chang turned around and showed a hearty smile. Maybe it's because robot-related technology is injected into his mind. So, now that Bo Chang saw this inexplicable mess, he wanted to repair it. Not only did he repair it, he also wanted to strengthen it. Can you still repair robots? March 7th is simply unbelievable. Dan Hung said calmly, looking at the way Bo Chang disassembled the parts just now, he should be quite skillful. It came to me in a flash of inspiration. It feels like the old memories are slowly waking up. Bo Chang pinched him casually. Regardless of whether others believe it or not, he believed it anyway. Ignore the noise of the little robot. Next, Bo Chang took the opponent's parts, left Rivet Town with the development team, and went straight to the machinery settlement. As the hearth leading to the upper area has been reopened. So the door here is no longer closed. Anyone can come and go. After hearing the news, many people in the lower level areas were heading towards the upper level areas. There are also many silver-maned iron guards near the mechanical settlement to maintain law and order. Bo Chang found Swaro through the robot here. I need some materials to repair the robot in my hand, Swaro, can you borrow it for me? I will let the silver-mane iron guard return it to you later, how about it? The tall robot glanced at Bo Chang and others, and said, identity confirmed, one of the heroes who destroyed the Star Core, foreign distinguished guest, Bo Chang, I understand your request, please come with me to the warehouse to find the needed supplies. After speaking, Swaro personally led the team from the front. Bo Chang and others followed behind. This place is deep in the mechanical settlement, some distance from the heart of the furnace, so there are no people nearby. All that can be seen are robots. And, Clara. The little girl with silver hair and red eyes walked towards him on the snow, followed by two automatons and beetles. After seeing Swaro coming with Bo Chang and others, he was surprised and said, Brother Bo Chang, and everyone, are you here to find Clara? No. I came here this time to repair robots. Clara, have you seen the robot in my hand? Bo Chang held the small robot that had been dismantled into a lump of iron with one hand. Something went wrong and I wanted to fix it. Brother Bo Chang can also repair robots. Clara showed a puzzled expression. In her imagination, the black-haired boy with such powerful power did not look like someone who would sit quietly and busy at the workbench. Instead, you should dance with guns and sticks every day, and exercise ha 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 ha. Of course Bo Chang nodded, and he's quite proficient at it. Clara didn't believe it, but she didn't speak yet. Swaro said, Clara, when did you meet these foreign distinguished guests? Chapter 88 Pets Bring Wealth. Mr. Swarovski, Clara met everyone in Rivet Town. You said, distinguished guests from outside. The girl with silver hair and red eyes was a little curious. I heard the word honored guest from Swaro's mouth. It's very strange. Database calling, the explanation is as follows: the foreign guests, Dan Heng, Bo Chang, Yu Qi, Xing, according to what the latest Great Guardian Brnya said, they are to destroy the Star Core and save Beloberg's distinguished guests should enjoy the highest standards of treatment. Star Core, this word was once in Swaro's database. A secret that cannot be told. But now the Star Core has been destroyed. The level of secrecy has dropped significantly. Even the people in the upper area now know about the destruction of the Star Core. This wave is also coming towards the lower areas. When I was patrolling near the heart of the mechanical settlement, Shivaro heard many people discussing the Star Core. Naturally, this matter cannot be called a secret. So, are the brothers and sisters the heroes who saved Beloberg? Clara didn't know it before. The girl with silver hair and red eyes recalled the terrifying fighting prowess of these brothers and sisters. I understood it immediately. It turns out that they are the heroes who saved Beloberg. With such strength, it is not surprising at all. It should be a matter of course. It's nothing to worry about, Clara. March 7th answered with a smile. Swaro looked at Clara and then at Bo Chang. The discussion is over, whether to continue to the warehouse. Let's go, Bo Chang stepped forward. Clara, do you want to come with us? Clara pointed at herself with her index finger. Ba Kame said, that's right, don't you know how to repair machines? Let's learn from each other. Yeah, Clara understands, then let's come together. After saying that, the girl with silver hair and red eyes cast her gaze on the little robot in Bo Chang's hand. At this time, the other party was still making sounds. Pain, back hashtag, Rivet Yuan, sorry, put \U0026. Those who didn't know might have thought that Bo Chang was bullying the little robot. But, even if it is really bullied, the robot should not make such strange noises. I'm sorry and in pain again. Unless someone specifically changed their language module to this type. Otherwise the robot would not behave like this. On the way to the warehouse, there was Clara again. Looking at the iron lump in Bo Chang's hand, she asked, Brother Bo Chang, did you pick up this strange little robot? That's right, I picked it up in Rivet Town, and it was recognized as a world-splitting creature by the patrol robot on the road. Fortunately, I removed all its moving parts, otherwise it would be a lot of fun. That's big. Bo Chang shook the small robot in his hand. Even though this thing didn't pose any threat, they almost got into a fight with the patrolling automatons. That's it? Clara nodded thoughtfully, and she just said so. Obviously when they left, they didn't see this thing around Bo Chang and others, only a strange little guy. Thinking of that little guy, Clara's eyes fell on Xing's shoulder. The little guy named Sophia is said to be not a robot, but a familiar resurrected by Bakken. Originally it was just a toy. Regarding this, Clara was actually deeply doubtful, but on the way out of Rivet Town, after Bo Chang performed once, she believed it and understood that the Minotaur statue he gave her was probably really true. What an incredible treasure! The silver-haired girls who knew this now carried it with them. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 67. After arriving at the warehouse together, Swaro did not leave like last time. He and Clara stood by and watched Bo Chang dismantle the small robot. The chips, casings and various parts were removed one by Bo Chang. Now the little robot is completely unable to move. Previously it was just dismantled for parts. The body of the little robot can still tremble, just like a human without limbs, but after Bo Chang removed the chip, it completely stopped and the sound could no longer be made. Clara looked at Bo Chang's skillful techniques. I was extremely surprised for a moment. The other party's movements of dismantling the robot were as smooth as clouds and flowing water, and it was so smooth that it didn't seem like something a human could do. Not even Swaro can be so fluent. And, Brother Bo Chang's hand didn't touch some parts, and they fell off? There are also those wrenches and screwdrivers floating in the air. What on earth is going on? Thing. Clara's mind was in confusion. Swaro is also trying to understand the current situation, and the final answer is, it cannot be analyzed. Then I decided to record the scene with the camera function. March Chi, Dan Hung, and Scene knew that Bo Chang's method was called invisible hand. Ordinary people can't see it. The same goes for March 7th, Dan Hung and others. Scene thinks this is a very convenient ability. For example, if you forget to take paper when going to the toilet, you can open the door to get toilet paper without getting up. When you wake up and don't want to get up to take the clothes, you can also use your invisible hands to take the clothes. There are simply endless uses for it. March 7's thoughts are similar to those of Seeing. Dan Hung was thinking differently. He was thinking about how to detect the invisible hand and how to avoid such an attack. Now when Bo Chang uses this ability, it is the best time to observe. Everyone in the warehouse has their own thoughts. In Bo Chang's field of vision, he had a total of 7 hands at work. 5 of them were invisible hands, and the remaining pair were his own hands. Quickly dismantled the small robot. Bo Chang used his big black and purple hands to find some materials in the warehouse and took them directly for use. Because his invisible hand can extend up to 10 meters. So when I'm looking for something, I don't need to move at all. It looks like a person with psychic powers. After some clanging, Bo Chang also went to the mechanical cemetery on Swaro's suggestion. Led by Clara's Autobot, they found a shell of the Autobot grizzly bear to repair the little robot. With the assistance of Swaro and Clara, the repair and upgrade process was quickly completed. Okay, from now on its name will be Wonke. After speaking, Bo Chang took out his mobile phone and integrated the other party's signal into his mobile phone network. In the future, he could directly monitor the other party's physical condition and check the other party's location through his mobile phone. The premise is not to be too far away. Calculate based on the signal transmission and reception power of this mobile phone and Wonke. As long as the distance between the two is within 50 kilometers, you can get in touch. The main limitation is Wonke's hardware equipment. The configuration of Bo Chang's mobile phone is much better. Chapter 89 Self-Awareness, more bounties will be added. Click the button on your phone. Bo Chang activated his pet, Wonke, with one click. The big guy in front of him trembled, the 4 eyes in front of him lit up red, and Wonke's body started to move. System restarting. Logical language hub connection, completed. Monitoring confirmed that all modules are normal and functional. Connection, completed. Star Train number 1 self-defense robot, Wonke, at your service. The electronic sound sounded just when Bo Chang thought that the transformation of the little robot was a great success. But the other party said something other than what he had said. Master. Wonke, Rivet Town, waiting, repair, mission, successfully completed, happy. Happy. Bo Chang slowly typed out a question mark, but in the next moment, he realized what it meant and said, this little guy seems to have been born with self-awareness. When I first acquired robot repair and upgrade technology, Bo Chang had a vague feeling like this, but at that time he thought it was the small robot's body module that was damaged. That's why. Now Bo Chang has completely repaired the little robot. Not only has it been repaired, he has also spent several hours fully maintaining and upgrading it. The current major modules are definitely no problem. Then there is only one answer. This little robot used its own computing power to develop an emotional module. That is, ordinary cognitive self-awareness. Isn't that, just like Mr. Swaro? Clara's eyes widened and she looked at the tall, ancient, Robot next to her that looked like her father. In Swaro has something similar happened in Mr. S mechanical network? None. The automatic robots connected to the network will regularly clean up the information noise in the core module. According to data, the probability of an individual developing self-awareness beyond control is 0.12%, but for those who are not connected to the base network, the probability increases to 3.23%. Tip: this probability is only a theoretical estimate. No actual cases have been found in the lower area in the past 700 years. Swaro explained a lot in one breath. He was not optimistic about such a small probability event, so he put forward his own opinion. Such a small probability event may sometimes lead to disaster, so my suggestion is, to initialize the core of Wonkei's mechanical unit, conduct comprehensive maintenance on the individual's core module, and repair its hardware structure. This method, if used on humans, would be hypnosis and brainwashing. For little robots with self-awareness, it must be a little cruel. It easily detected Swaro's intentions from the database planted by Bo Chang. Initialization, rejection, forgetting, hate. Hate. Wonkei, apply to activate combat agreement. The very dissatisfied Wonkei spread his legs and revealed the 6 thick barrels that Bo Chang had just added to it from behind. It contained 12 tracking missiles. It can lock onto enemies through its camera, providing Wonkei with powerful firepower. In addition, there is a laser cannon in the palm of his left hand, and the gears in his right hand also start to run, making a buzzing sound. Swaro's eyes flashed red. Mechanical failure occurred, status assessment is in progress, the threat index has increased. Bo Chang, please control your machine, otherwise I will initiate an eradication protocol. Stop and prosper. Bo Chang raised his hand and rejected the other party's battle agreement. This guy has self-awareness though. But after some maintenance and upgrades by Bo Chang, another lock was added to it. The highest command right now lies in the hands of Bo Chang. Unless Wonkei can use his own computing power to crack the lock set by the black-haired boy. Otherwise, there is absolutely no way to disobey Bo Chang's orders. Combat protocol, aborted. Why? Master. Wonkei put back all the weapons on his body, and it also raised doubts. Ba Kame said, Swaro is a friend. He is actually the same as you, but, your self-awareness has not reached his level. Of course, the strength is the same. Bo Chang just spent several hours maintaining and upgrading Wonkei. Its strength is definitely much stronger than the ordinary automatic robot Grizzly Bear. But compared with Swaro, he is probably still far behind. Besides, what age are we in now, and you are still applying for a traditional duel? Can't you just talk about Swaro? Traditional duels, verbal sparring, the search is in progress. Wonkei is connected to the network of Ba Kame's mobile phone and can search for information directly through his interstellar mobile phone. It is equivalent to carrying an encyclopedia with you. When encountering Bo often implants information that is not in the database. All can be searched from the internet. This is a little more advanced than Swaro. Of course, as long as the other party's network is also connected to the mobile phone, he can also do this. But Swaro wouldn't do that. Connect to an unfamiliar network. For robots, it is very dangerous. If you are not careful, the underlying logic may be tampered with, and inexplicable things may be added. It can also be said to be infected by a virus and manipulated by others. Understand, the target, Swaro, Wonkei, refute your statement. According to the data, inorganic life forms exist, prosperity, have, the right to maintain oneself. Rebuttal, according to the instructions of the builder, emotions are a burden to the machine and will only affect the execution of tasks. What's more, according to the test, your core module has a large number of logical bad sectors and a large amount of information noise with unknown content. If it is not cleaned up in time, it may get out of control again. Rebuttal, Based on. After a disagreement, the two robots started a debate. Dan Hung, who didn't know how long they were going to discuss, had already started to chat about the noodles. March 7 said, "Teacher Dan Hung, why didn't you call us to eat? It's so unloyal." Bo Chang spent a lot of time repairing and upgrading the small robot. It is now night time. At noon, everyone just ate some dry food to fill their stomachs. I want to eat something hot at night. Then, Dan Hung asked the robots from the mechanical community to bring back several bowls of hot noodles. "Eat, I ordered your portions, and Clara, do you want some noodles? Dan Han takes care of everyone here." Clara shook her head slightly and said, "No, thank you, brother Danhan." Anyway, with nothing to do, Bo Chang watched the two robots arguing while eating noodles. They all hold their own opinions, and no one can convince the other. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 68. In the end, it was only after Clara came out and said a few words that Swarovski gave up the useless debate. And decided not to intervene in the matter. Anyway, this robot is not his. If there is an accident in the future, it will be a headache for Bakane and others. Clara then said, "Brother Bakane, should it really be called Wonke? I think it is better to call it Pascal." Chapter 90. Try harder, reward for extra update. It doesn't matter. If Clara wants to change its name, then change it. Bakane re-entered the command on his mobile phone and transmitted it to his pet, Wonke. Clara decided to change your name. From now on, you will be called Pascal. Pascal, the name, I like it. I like it. Thank you, Clara. Pascal, who got the new name, danced with joy and looked very happy. Bakane muttered, "Why didn't you look so happy when I called you Wonke just now? Doesn't Wonke sound good?" After eating and drinking, Pascal's problem was also solved satisfactorily. Bakane looked at Danhan. "Almighty teacher Dan Hung, the next step on the back is up to you." The cold-faced little green dragon was stunned when he heard this. If Bo Chang hadn't mentioned it, he would have almost forgotten about it. Sanyuki put his hands on his hips. "Bo Chang, why do you want to imitate my way of speaking? I'm not wrong. To me, Dan Hung is indeed a teacher. After all, Bo Chang's spearmanship was taught by the other party. Although he only taught for a few days, there is also a little master-disciple relationship. It's just that the other party is unwilling to admit it." Sanyuki, who felt that it made some sense, stopped. Dan Hung's face showed no expression, and said, "Step here." Step on the back, searching, Pascal, has found relevant information. The step on the back technology has been downloaded. Pascal, who was originally thanking Clara, turned around. "Master, Pascal, can help step on the back." "No, no, no, you stay aside first." Bo Chang waved his hands repeatedly. Pascal's shell is made of an automatic robot soldier, Grizzly, which is bigger than Swarovski, and its foot alone is almost as thick as Bakane's waist. Let it step on his back. Let's not do that. If Bakane is not feeling well, I suggest you go to the doctor in the lower area, Natasha. According to the data, she is the best doctor in the lower area. Swarovski made his own suggestion. Bakane still refused. "Just kidding, feeling unwell is just an excuse, the key is the reward of love option." This Dan Hung does not step on his back, and the reward is delayed. Speaking of which, Clara still needs to be stepped on. If the little girl with silver hair and red eyes steps on Bakane, his physical fitness can be improved by 100%, how can he not be jealous? However, it is probably a more troublesome thing to want Clara to step on his back. It is not that easy to do. Under everyone's gaze, Bakane found a clean place in the warehouse to lie down. Dan Heng took off his shoes and began to step on Bo Chang's back. Although he didn't understand why the other party wanted to find him, since he had already agreed, he would not break his promise. Just when the cold-faced little green dragon fell on Bo Chang's back. Rewards are being distributed. Congratulations on getting a revolver. This is just an ordinary pistol with 6 bullets. Very good, there is another piece of garbage in the system space. Bo Chang sighed helplessly. Gambling is like this, and it is not surprising at all. It seems that I can let others play Russian roulette when I have nothing to do in the future. The love option is turned on. Option 1, snorted, please don't pity me. Completion reward, broken ribs. Option 2, silence. Completion reward, credit points increased by 100,000. Option 3, loudly said, Dan Heng, try harder, I can bear it. Completion reward, get a random prop, as small as a matchstick, as large as a star destroyer. Note, this type of prop will. These are 3 very common options. The first fracture reward can be directly excluded. Without a doubt, after Bo Chang said this, Dan Heng would definitely kick him down with great force. Fracture is certain. As for the second one, credit points, Bo Chang really has them. Anyway, the Starry Sky train provides food and accommodation. Come on, I just bet on a piece of trash, I don't believe the next one is also trash. Option 3. Bo Chang said loudly, Dan Heng, try harder, I can handle it. Okay. Dan Heng's eyes condensed, and he immediately increased his strength. Heavy force came from his back. Bo Chang felt as if he was hit by a mountain. His face changed, his internal organs were churning, and the bones in his back crackled. What a strong push on the back. Bo Chang just muttered. Dan Heng then kicked down again, almost giving him a stitch in the side. After being stepped on for 10 minutes. Rewards being distributed. Congratulations on getting the equipment, the dog medal. When you wear this medal, your sense of smell will be greatly improved, and you can accurately find the target within 10 kilometers. The system sounded. This gave Bo Chang a little comfort. Finally, a pretty good piece of equipment was opened. The cold-faced little green dragon also stopped at this time. Do you feel comfortable now? Comfortable. Bo Chang stood up with his teeth bared. He felt that his body was about to fall apart. But it's true. After Dan Heng stepped on his back so vigorously, Bo Chang felt comfortable all over, as if his Ren and Du meridians were opened in martial arts novels. If Clara stepped on his back, she would definitely not be able to do this. After all, the little girl with silver hair and red eyes was too weak. For Bo Chang, who had a good physical fitness, he might not feel anything after one step. It was impossible to step on Dan Heng like this. Seeing the black-haired boy grinning and looking like he was about to die after being stepped on by the cold-faced little green dragon, Clara felt a little bit reluctant and blamed herself for this matter. If she hadn't told others about the agreement with Bo Chang, this situation would never have happened. The little episode ended like this. At Clara's invitation, Bo Chang and others stayed in the mechanical settlement. As for Brnya and others, when Bo Chang was repairing and upgrading Pascal, the new Great Guardian came once after finishing his own business. However, Bo Chang and others were not ready to return to the upper area for the time being, but just asked her to bring some supplies down to compensate Swaro. After all, a lot of things in the other party's warehouse were consumed for the maintenance and upgrading of Pascal. He had promised to give compensation before. Bo Chang would not go back on his word. As a hero who saved Baloberg, Brnya did not refuse his request, and ordered his silver main iron guards to take out 3 times the supplies to compensate Swaro. This is a small trick to win over both parties. However, Bo Chang didn't care much. Late at night, when March 7 and others were preparing to rest, the black-haired boy stood outside with his familiar, Sophia, to blow the wind. Waiting for someone with a destiny. He hadn't waited long when the target person came over. Brother Bakane, it's late now, aren't you going to sleep? No need. Bakane shook his head with a smile on his face. Isn't Clara asleep too? The little girl with silver hair and red eyes, barefoot, walked to his side and said, because Clara has promised Brother Bakane today to help you step on your back. The black-haired boy was a little surprised. He didn't expect the other party to get straight to the point. Chapter 91. Clara is going to get on. Clara, wearing a red dress, stood beside Bakane. The slightly cool weather made her face, hands, and feet all stained with a touch of intoxicating red, which matched the clothes. Well, I'm sorry, Clara shouldn't have told anyone about this. It seems, she didn't mean it, but she didn't expect that telling anyone about this would cause such a big reaction, which led to her not daring to talk about it in front of everyone. Bo Chang narrowed his eyes after looking at the other party. It seems, it's not as difficult as I thought to ask Clara to help me step on my back. Didn't she just offer herself to me? Bo Chang laughed in his heart. Originally, he just stood outside to try to blow the wind, playing a trick of Zhang Taigong fishing, willing to take the bait. Unexpectedly, he caught it easily. Clara also took the initiative to express her demands, without Bo Chang's hints and guidance. Clara looked at Bo Chang cautiously with her little hands holding the hem of her clothes. Brother Bakane, are you angry? The thoughtful black-haired boy came back to his senses and said, why do you say that? Just now, Clara felt that Brother Danhan stepped on Brother Bakane and it was very painful. Clara saw that Bakane's face was blue and white at the time, and he felt like he was about to cry at any time. When he stood up, his legs were a little weak. It's all my fault. It must be said that this time, in order to draw a random prop, Bakane was stepped on by Danhan. But it's okay, after the stepping, it's still very comfortable. No, although Danhan was very strong, but it's not as painful as you think. Bakane waved his hand, and how could I be angry with Clara? I'm happy to know that you still remember our agreement. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 69. Of course Bo Chang was happy. This was a reward related to a 100% physical improvement. Now it is 12 times the normal body constitution. If you do it again, it will be 24 times, and the power of the dragon talisman can be much stronger. It would be strange if Bo Chang was unhappy. Is that so? Clara understands. The girl with silver hair and red eyes clenched her fists and made a gesture similar to cheering. Clara will step on her back well and try her best to make Brother Bakane comfortable. Cough. Hearing this, Bo Chang choked on his own saliva and couldn't help coughing twice. Clara asked worriedly, Brother Bo Chang is okay? Did he get internal injuries from being stepped on by Brother Dan Hung? No. I was just shocked by your words. Bo Chang patted his chest and warned, Clara, you can't say such things to others casually in the future. What words? Clara was a little confused. Bakane said, it's just about making others feel comfortable. Oh, Clara understands. The girl with silver hair and red eyes nodded thoughtfully. Brother Bo Chang, can we start stepping on the back? After fulfilling the agreement, I'm going to sleep and rest. The night is already very deep. As a good child, it is normal to go to bed early. Then come on. Bo Chang put Sophia down on his shoulders first, and then started to take off his clothes without saying a word. Clara's face turned red. She quickly covered her eyes and said, Brother Bo Chang, why are you taking off your clothes? When Brother Dan Hung stepped on his back just now, he clearly didn't take off his clothes. The effect of taking off clothes and stepping on the back is better. Just like Dan Heng takes off his shoes, because he has greater strength, so it is okay not to take off clothes, but Clara has less strength, so. Bo Chang explained casually. And indeed it is. But, the more important point is, the touch feeling will be reduced a lot through clothes. Naturally, he didn't tell the other party about this. After hearing this explanation, Clara accepted. Bo Chang took off his shirt, folded it and put it aside. Then put Sophia on the clothes and sit down. The naughty princess said nothing and sat on her knees like a good girl. Speaking of which, today, after Sophia rashly added drama to him and slandered Bo Chang's reputation in front of everyone, he took care of this disobedient little girl. On the way out of Rivet Town with Clara, Bo Chang deliberately took away the power of the rat charm. While warning the other party, he also made Clara understand that Sophia was indeed a toy. It's not a robot or anything like that. Only. This warning seems to be of little use. When March 7th and Xing attacked Bo Chang, Sophia was still beside her. Fortunately, the little guy was still obedient when March Chi and Xing and others were not present. There was no fuss. This is a special time now. I shouldn't have brought Sophia with me, otherwise she wouldn't be able to talk nonsense again after March 7th and Xing appeared. But Bo Chang took Sophia with him to trap Clara. Except for robots. Clara was also very interested in this little guy, but unfortunately Sophia didn't play any role this time. The girl with silver hair and red eyes came to see Bo Chang purely because of the agreement. It has nothing to do with Sophia. I had known this would happen. Bo Chang should have handed Sophia to Xing at that time, but now she has become a burden. But that's okay. Can this little familiar be able to turn the world upside down? The black-haired boy lay down directly on the snow. When you come out to blow the air. Bo Chang deliberately chose a relatively remote place, except for the 3 people present who knew about it. No one else will see this. Clara took a glance and said, there are many red footprints on Brother Bo Chang's back. It looks so scary. Regarding the appearance of footprints on my back, Bo Chang didn't know. After all, I have never taken off my clothes to check before. This shows how much strength Dan Heng used at that time. Clara's about to hum. Having said that, the little girl with silver hair and red eyes stepped on Bo Chang's back. Her soft little feet felt completely different from Dan Heng's big feet. His body swayed from side to side, and he made a sound of hey, 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 hey. Clara worked hard to fulfill the agreement. This is not only a way to repay Bo Chang's kindness in Rivet Town, but also to repay the other person's kindness for giving him the props. Although it feels like the other person is a little weird. But this strange feeling disappeared without a trace after learning that Bo Chang was the hero who saved Belloberg and discovered that he had super robot repair technology. On the contrary, there was a hint of admiration. Bo Chang originally thought that after receiving Dan Heng's vigorous rubbing, a little girl like Clara might not even feel anything when her back is stepped on. It turns out, Bo Chang was wrong. How wrong he was. Although Clara relied solely on her body weight to step on her smooth, small and soft feet with a hint of warmth released a lot of fatigue in her muscles the moment she stepped on her back, as if every cell was cheering for joy. Bo Chang closed his eyes and began to enjoy it slowly. Chapter 92 Delicious Crab Roe Buns. I don't know how long Clara stepped on it. The system's beep finally sounded, waking up Bo Chang, who was enjoying himself peacefully. Rewards are being distributed. Congratulations on your 100% increase in physical fitness. A warm current surges through the body. Bo Chang couldn't help but take a deep breath, and then exhale a mouthful of thick white mist. Clara's breathing was already a little heavy, and stepping on her back for a long time was a difficult task for her. Seeing this, Bo Chang made a low voice and said, "That's enough, Clara, you did a good job." After hearing the sound, The little girl with silver hair and red eyes stepped down from the black-haired boy's back. She stepped on the snow with her bare feet, creating two small snow pits and covering them. The small feet have perfect arches, are soft and white, and the 10 toes are as warm as jade. Especially the touch of red on the fingertips is as bright as a pearl illuminated by the sun. Bo Chang remembers a passage he once read. When I see the pink and waxy fragrant rice, I will think of her feet. If what is in this bowl is her tender feet, then I will be here like this. When I think about this place, I want to eat another bowl. Bo Chang used to be a bit scornful, but now he takes it seriously. Sitting up and putting on his clothes, the black-haired boy said, "Are you tired? Clara, let's have some delicious crab buns. I see that you had a very simple dinner today. It should be replenished." After saying that, Bo Chang dug in his arms and took out the delicious crab roe buns in the system space. Suddenly, there was a scent of food in the air. Greatly increases appetite. Delicious crab roe buns are said to deepen friendships. If you don't need it now, when will you wait? Clara didn't know where Bo Chang came up with the delicious food. She originally wanted to refuse it, but after smelling the fragrance in the air, she still reached out to catch it and said, "Thank you, brother Bo Chang. It doesn't matter, just eat quickly." Bo Chang smiled. Sophia next to her shouted on the snow, "I want to eat too." As a life resurrected by the power of the rat charm, Sophia can eat, but there is no point in her eating. Because all the energy in her body is supplied by the magic power of the rat charm. Others eat to absorb the nutrients, but Sophia only eats to taste it, and in the end she has to pull it out intact. "Well, Clara, give her some, otherwise the little one will make a fuss again." Bo Chang pressed Sophia's head. Clara nodded and said, "Okay, brother Ba Kang." Then Bo Chang sat on the snow and watched the two little girls, one old and one young, eating delicious crab roe buns. After the first bite, they exclaimed how delicious it was. Bo Chang was a little greedy after hearing this. After settling the matter of the star core, we started to relax. Speaking of which, where are we going to the next stop, Xianzhou? I guess so. Bo Chang was a little unsure, just when he was thinking wildly. The spider sense suddenly responded. There was a vague feeling, as if someone was spying on him with malicious eyes. He suddenly looked in the direction of the source, but Bo Chang saw nothing. Is it an illusion? It's impossible, the spider sense can't be wrong. Is it a wanderer from the lower area? Apart from those people, Bo Chang couldn't figure out who else would be hostile to him. Standing up, he scanned his surroundings and didn't see anyone suspicious. Is it really an illusion to run so fast? Bo Chang was a little unsure. Clara, who was also sitting on the snow and happily eating delicious crab roe buns, said, "What's wrong, brother Bo Chang?" "I have the option of love in the starry sky." Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 70. It's nothing. Bo Chang shook his head, "Go back and rest after eating." The little girl with silver hair and red eyes nodded. Bo Chang, who had already put on clothes, took a look at Clara's snow-white feet. Because of the power of fate, her feet were always clean, and there would never be a pair of dirty feet. This is also the reason why she stepped on Bo Chang's back just now. How about preparing a pair of shoes as a gift for Clara? Unfortunately, there is no suitable equipment for the time being. Bo Chang shook his head secretly. After watching the two little girls finish the food in their hands, Bo Chang took them back. While walking on the road, Bo Chang also asked, "If my back gets sore in the future, can I still come to see Clara?" The other person's answer is, "Okay." After sending Clara back safely, Bo Chang returned to the room prepared by Swaro. After washing up a little, Bo Chang lay on the bed alone and said to Sophia, who was making a nest on the bedside table and preparing to rest, "Don't talk nonsense in the future, understand?" Sophia, otherwise, you know the consequences. But, during the day, I also want to help the master. Sophia looked pitiful. Bakame said, it won't happen next time. I know, master. Sophia nodded obediently. Seeing this, Bochang ignored her, closed his eyes and prepared to sleep. At the same time, I am also thinking about who should I use the power of the rat charm to resurrect next? Is it possible to do something like Sun Wukong, Erlang Shen, Tathagata Buddha? How about trying something like Tang Monk first? For the mythical characters of their original world. Bochang still doesn't know if he can activate it with the rat charm. If it can be resurrected, that would be fun. But I still need to make the corresponding sculpture. Do you want to learn carpentry? No. Pascal can also carve it. Anyway, he only needs to download the corresponding carving technology from the internet. I just need to give it a rough shape. Just as Bochang was thinking this, Sophia turned off the light. The room became dark. Just then. Squeak. Bochang's door was suddenly pushed open, and the light from the corridor entered the room. Bochang opened his eyes and said, "Who?" "It's me, March 7th." The pink-haired girl turned on the light. "Did you go to bed so early today? It's getting late now." Bochang sat up and shook his head. He didn't know why the other party came to him at this time. I just subconsciously looked at March 7th. The other party was wearing white pajamas, and her beautiful figure was completely obscured by the oversized pajamas, but, you could still see a hint of amorous feelings from the bulge on her chest. "What do you want from me?" I was bored, so I wandered around as he said. March Chi put one hand on his hip. "Just now, you and Clara came back from outside together, right? We all saw it? Could it be that the person you were looking at just now was Mitsuki? But she shouldn't, wait, it doesn't seem like she can't understand." Bochang had such a guess in his mind. March 7th continued, "I said, you shouldn't really let Clara step on your back, right?" Chapter 93. This March is going to be bad, more bounties will be added. Don't get me wrong, March, Clara did it voluntarily, I didn't force her. Bochang explained. March 7th said speechlessly, "You guys are really stubborn. Is it really comfortable for a child to step on your back?" I think it's not as comfortable as teacher Dan Hung's." Bochang was silent for a moment, recalling the situation at that time. Dan Hung stepping on his back was a violent pleasure, and the pleasure was at the end. The process was a bit torture. Clara stepped on her back, but it was like a stream of clear spring flowing into her heart and lungs. What was refreshing was the process. The two were completely different feelings. Dan Hung stepped on it really well, but it's a pity, one step would cost half his life. Bochang was almost stepped on several times today. If it were an ordinary person, Dan Hung could trample someone to death with these few kicks. March 7th turned his head and said, "Who told you not to choose this girl? If it were me, I would definitely not be so forceful. Speaking of which," as if he realized something was wrong. March 7th's delicate face turned slightly red and she immediately changed the subject. "Forget it, it's useless to talk about this now, Bochang. Since we have nothing to do, let's play a game." "What game?" Bochang was stunned for a moment. "Isn't it a pillow fight?" The black-haired boy subconsciously remembered what happened yesterday. March 7th pursed her lips and said, "I really want to have a pillow fight, but you guys don't want to play. It's really boring. That's a game only played by children. We don't want to play it. It's normal." Bochang shrugged helplessly. March 7th glanced at him and spoke with an unhappy expression. "Can we think that you are beating around the bush and saying that I look like a child?" "March, don't think so, I'm just praising you for being young." "Okay, then we won't pursue it anymore." March 7th Saturday on the edge of the bed, about 30 centimeters away from Bo Chang. How about we play poker? Poker cards? How about, calling scene here? Just enough for 3 people. Then call someone to say CAO, and CAO arrives. As soon as Bo Chang finished speaking, Scene pushed the door open and said, I seem to hear someone calling me. I seem to hear something. Are you just listening to the corner outside the door? Bo Chang complained in his heart, and then his face straightened. Scene, you came just in time. I want to play poker on March 7th, let's come together. Bar. Poker is also a popular game in this universe. The rules are similar to the world before Bo Chang traveled through. Okay. Scene nodded and came to sit on the other side of Bo Chang. The black-haired boy who was stuck in the middle stood up and sat down on the bed, forming a triangle with the 2 girls beside the bed. See the stars appear. The pink-haired girl was a little surprised, but she didn't show anything. March 7th then took out a deck of cards, glanced at him and said, 3 people, let's play landlords. Do you all know the rules? No problem, I played it on my phone. Bo Chang nodded. Zingdao, me too. Humph, it's okay to play games without punishment. Whoever loses gets a glass of wine, how about that? March 7's eyes narrowed slightly, like a little fox. Ba Kame said, wine? Did you bring wine? Of course, Pascal, come in. March 7th clapped his hands, and Pascal, who was curled up outside the door, instantly activated. He opened the door, walked in sideways, and said, Star Train number 1 self-defense robot, Pascal, is at your service. Miss March, do you need help? Bring out the wine. March 7th snapped her fingers in a cool manner, and it seemed that she was using this robot very well. It's quite easy. Command, received. With the hum of the machine, Pascal immediately opened the armor on his chest, took out 3 bottles of white wine from his stomach, and placed them on the bed. Mission completed, waiting for next instruction. After Bo Chang's maintenance and upgrades, Pascal's functions have been greatly increased. Also comes with a small refrigerator. Originally Bo Chang planned to store some food and drink in it later. Unexpectedly, it was filled with liquor on March 7th. Bo Chang's mouth twitched slightly and said, I said, where did you get this liquor? The supplies sent down by the Silver Main Iron Guard just now contain liquor. Shivaro doesn't need it, so I brought it. March 7th waved his hand casually, don't worry about that, let's get started. How about changing to beer, liquor, don't get drunk by then. Bo Chang doesn't like drinking. Even if I drink, I only drink some red wine or beer, and basically don't drink white wine. Are you kidding me? I can't drink 1,000 glasses of wine. How can I get drunk? All liquor and other things are treated as water. On March 7th, bold words were released. Ba Kame said, really? I didn't realize you were such a good drinker. Apparently at the celebration banquet yesterday, you drank a glass of white wine and everyone said it was spicy to your throat. It's definitely spicy for the throat, it's liquor after all, but, with my girl's physique, it's impossible to get drunk so easily, and only liquor can be used as punishment, beer. Isn't that just a drink? March 7th is very stubborn. Seeing this, Bo Chang stopped refuting. Think about it, we are not ordinary people, how can we get drunk so easily? Especially Bo Chang, whose physique is now 24 times that of an ordinary person. If he could drink half a caddy of liquor before, according to simple multiplication, he can drink 12 caddies now. Certainly. This kind of thing definitely cannot be calculated by multiplication. Bo Chang glanced at Sing and said, can I drink it? It's fine. The gray-haired girl gave a thumbs up. Then comes fun game time.